You know, now that we've wrapped up all the North American online regionals for the Digimon TCG, let's talk about the BT5 meta and just how crazy it actually is. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Steven Rodriguez. I'm your true champion, and that is right. In today's video, we are going to talk about the top 5 meta decks for the Battle of Omni format in the Digimon TCG. Okay, now I know this video is kind of like a long time coming. We've had the meta for over a month now, so why haven't I put my thoughts out there? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, I didn't want to give away all the best tips for people that I was competing against in online regionals. And number two, I actually felt like the meta was actually constantly evolving at every single point. We were seeing decks change, we were seeing new archetypes unveil themselves, and I didn't feel super confident in my overall opinions until right now. So if you are like me and one of those people that needs to grind store championships, hopefully this video will be a big help to you, not only in picking your own deck to play, but also what decks you might fight against when those events roll around. And something I always have to mention when I do these top 5 meta decks, no, I will not be talking about every single deck that exists in this format. That would be way too boring and kind of pointless, but I will be doing a really cool tier list sort of recording during one of my Twitch live streams later this week, so be sure to follow, link is down below so you don't miss out when that happens, and then I'll make a video for it afterwards. So if you want to hear me talk about every single archetype, that's what you're going to want to tune into. If you want to listen to my thoughts on the best top tier sweaty decks of the meta, this is the video to watch. And if you do get any value out of this video or just like it and want to see more videos like it in the future, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell for notifications so you know when my videos go live for you. And like I said, if there's anything in this video you want me to elaborate on or just talk more about, feel free to follow me over on Twitch. Link is down below as always. Can't wait to see y'all in there. And with that being said, I think it's time we talked about the top 5 meta decks in the Digimon TCG Set 5 format. Alright guys, let's begin. Alright y'all, before we actually hop into the top 5 meta decks for Battle of Omni, I have to do my little spiel of honorable mentions, because while I don't want to talk about every single archetype, there are a couple every now and then that I feel like are worth talking about, especially if y'all did not realize how strong they actually were. And the archetype I've chosen to talk about today is black. That's it, just black, the entire color. Please give it a try, it's very good. Real talk though, the actual archetypes that I want to talk about from black that I think are worth mentioning in terms of considering the top meta decks are Diaboromon and Turbo Omni Defeat. Now, a lot of you know, if you watched my video about purple Turbo Omni Defeat, I'm a huge fan of this more slow, sort of anti-meta strategy, and I played it in purple. But someone like Lychee, who played it in black, also really likes it and saw some crazy success at the TAK Games online regional. Also, more and more people are playing Diaboromon because they're realizing just how crazy strong this like setup aggro deck actually is. And as long as you have proper tools to deal with the other like popular decks of the meta, you could see some awesome wins. But you're probably asking yourself, Steven, why talk about these decks and not a deck like Shoutmon or Blue Imperial that's actually seeing more consistent success and are more popular? Well, that's why. Because the only reasons those decks are equally as powerful but seeing actual wins or tops is because people are playing them. Despite how strong black is with the really solid anti-meta strats or just the crazy board states that you can get off of a Diaboromon deck, no one is playing them because they don't have confidence in how strong the color actually is, and so they're not committing to playing it in tournaments. So hopefully by me talking about this deck or these archetypes, you can have more confidence in them going forward for your local events or even for your store championships / DC1 Grand Prix, because honestly, I think there's tons of fun ways to build in black right now, and they're all super viable and can definitely catch people off guard because no one respects the color. So yeah, is black like the 6th best deck and that's why it's an honorable mention? No. But is it one that's worth talking about and could definitely see massive success as the format evolves? Of course, and you should definitely consider it for your next tournament if you have not already. Alright, I have now left my soapbox and put it away. Let's talk about the actual top 5 meta decks. Coming in at number 5, we have Green OTK. Now, this slot was kind of a hard one to pick a deck for because thanks to the amazing cards out of Battle of Omni, we have a ton of potential picks, like Blue Imperial Dramon, Red Shoutmon DX, and many others. And the reason I've chosen Green OTK specifically to be the 5th best deck is because I feel like currently it's one of the best decks to use in tournaments because of the meta you're probably going to go up against, but I also think that's going to stay true and maybe get even truer as the meta evolves because of powerful cards like Nidhoggmon. Nidhoggmon is an absolute house against any player that doesn't have, the brain cells needed to play against it, or it's a blowout card against really popular matchups like Yellow-Green Rookie Rush. So with that in mind, when you combine a super awesome blowout card with a really awesome aggressive engine in Grand Kuwagamon and the new BT5 cards that add sort of resources and just overall toolbox ability to this deck, you can't help but think, man, why wouldn't I play green? Well, the reason is because while all these things are awesome, there are a ton of situations where if you get board wiped or super controlled as a green player and you didn't build up a bunch of resources beforehand, you just end up losing the game because you just stall yourself out, and it's really hard to come back since the deck has really no good draw power. So yeah, it is a really powerful deck and I think is one of the most popular out there and will probably become more popular, but it does have all the same issues it's always had, which is overall consistency. So when you measure the good with the bad, I feel like green, while it is a very powerful deck, won't really be the one winning tournaments left and right, but it will get a lot of solid performances, especially given all the good matchups it does have. Coming in at number 4, we have any purple deck. Yes, I know I'm being generic again, but honestly, it feels like every single purple deck right now are all trying to do the same thing, and that is play Omnimon Zwart, and that's it. But if we want to be a bit granular, I'm talking about the Lilith Loop / Lilith Goop decks of the world, ones that play Lilith and Gallantmon. These decks are crazy cool because they have awesome combos that utilize things like Lilithmon with Jack Raid and Mega Digimon Fusion to play Omnimon Zwart, or they utilize like Black War Growlmon and Gallantmon to let you go for really strong OTK turns with Omnimon Zwart. So while it is true that these decks have really awesome like succinct power lines and power ceilings, I feel like they actually aren't the best deck right now if you want to do well in events. And there's a couple reasons for that. The main one is like the massive L you take to really aggressive decks like Imperial, Green, or the worst one, Yellow-Green Rookie Rush. That's not fun. The second reason is I feel like the people that do super well are the ones that are like crazy about purple and play it all the time and are experts in the color, and that can be very intimidating to a non-expertised person because they're like, hey, I want to play purple, but if I use it at a tournament, I'll go X4 because I don't know how to draw Mega Digimon Fusion, or I don't know how to draw Lilithmon on the turn where I finally have 10 dudes in the trash, or I just lost to Rookie Rush 3 times in a row and now I do nothing. So I feel like while it is like a very tantalizing and attractive deck, it's really not the one that people who have never played it before are going to use in events, and so its popularity is taking a huge hit, kind of like black decks. So yeah, while I may like this deck, and like at the beginning of the format it felt like one of the best ones out there, at this current point in time it's the 4th best deck of the format. Coming in at number 3, regrettably, we have Security Control. Battle of Omni brought a ton of really awesome inclusions into this archetype via Omnimon Zwart Defeat, basically being an option card and a Digimon that then turns into a super awesome boss monster against your opponent when it is checked in security, as well as really nice option cards that add to the overall collection the deck has to choose from when building your lists, like Ultimate Flare and Transcendent Sword. Overall, though, I think the biggest selling point of this deck is just how strong it is against the Lord Nightmons and the Yellow-Green Rookie Rushes of the world, and as we're going to talk about in a minute, those are looking to be the most popular decks of the format as it continues. In fact, it's because of this change in overall meta that I'm even including it on this list, because originally, when the format first happened, I was not a huge fan of this deck, and that was because of the terrible purple matchup, but as I just said, purple has been steadily on the decline in tournaments, so it's a bit of a safer option now, but also because I'm a huge fan of Security Control come BT6 time, when we have things like Wyvern's Breath, Atomic Blaster, Memory Boost cards, etc. But right now, the overall like win conditions slash blowout cards you have do sometimes feel underwhelming to use. So it feels like you're kind of like just using a deck at half power versus full power right now. But that being said, I do think it has really solid options against some of the best decks of this format, and if you tailor your deck list properly, you could see a ton of massive wins. Now I know security control is kind of like a touchy subject to talk about because of just like how crazy toxic the deck can feel sometimes, but honestly, a lot of people know how to play against the deck by now, you know, leaving them at 4 security, just hard playing stuff over and over again, forcing them to have removal spells every single turn, but even then, it still can win sometimes because of the crazy cards in your security, and that is just really annoying every now and then. And I feel you, I know your pain, but just know that it is a deck, it is a very valid strategy, and people are playing it. People are playing it more and more as tournaments go on, and you should definitely know that it exists and know how to fight against it if you want to perform well in tournaments yourself. Even though at the beginning of this format it felt a little rocky to actually go with this deck, I think it is one of the best options out there for performing well in tournaments, especially if you know what you're doing with the archetype. Coming in at number 2, the second best deck in the Digimon TCG, we have Yellow-Green Rookie Rush. I mean, what can I say? This deck does it all. It has really awesome memory choking with cheap cost on-play dudes. It has really awesome aggro lines, being able to vomit out like 3 dudes in a single turn off of 1 blinding ray. And on top of all of that, it has really amazing removal options like Starmons and Spiral Masquerade that can sometimes give the deck this like mid-range slash tempo feel, which is crazy because whenever you do like control your opponent's board, you do it while also playing more dudes from your hand, and so you can just kill them on the next turn, which is super funny. On top of that, it has really solid matchups against like the setup decks of the world, like Yellow Lord Nightmon, Purple Lilith, or maybe like other roguish things out there like Shoutmon, for example. But it does have bad matchups too, like of course Nidhoggmon, anything with Nidhoggmon, Ultimate Flares, Security Controls, stuff like that. But even then, there are ways to play around those outs. If you ever are afraid of your board getting Nidhogged, just attack with everything and then hope it dies, and then play something else, and then still force them to Nidhogg, which is pretty funny. Or if you want to play around Ultimate Flare, just play dudes like Salamon, Bushiagumon in your deck, and then those won't die. Or just hard play your Turimons, stuff like that. There definitely are routes, I think, for this deck to do well against almost anything, except for the mirror match. That is definitely the one ouch type matchup that exists, because it's truly just a coin flip. Who went first, who sees Spiral Masquerade first, who sees Starmon first, etc. Also, this deck feels like one of the most popular, if not like the second most popular deck in the format right now, and I think can only get more popular as time goes on and more people realize just how crazy good it is at winning games. Like, if you see your Spiral Masquerades and your Starmons, it feels impossible for your opponent to set up anything in their battle area, and then you just kill them in like 1 or 2 turns. It's insane. But coming in at number 1, we have the best deck in the Digimon TCG Set 5 format. To no one's surprise, it's Yellow Lord Nightmon. I mean, ever since we got to read what this card did, it has been the deck to beat for this format, no questions asked. And if you ask me, the coolest thing about this archetype is how many variations exist and how crazy strong each one is. I mean, you have the classic Lord Nightmon / Angemon. You have the Lord Nightmon Mastemons, my personal favorite for doing well in bigger events. You have the newer, more boutique Lord Nightmon Starmons decks that play like Meteor Shower and can have like a pseudo Rookie Rush type feel to them. And finally, you have like a nice homage to BT4 in the Lord Nightmon War Greymon decks that want to have a bit extra aggression in the late game to just have a nice sort of out to winning games faster. But all these decks have one thing in common, and that is Lord Nightmon at the helm. Super powerful card, broken with things like Nightmon, Pulsemon, Starmons, etc. because of just the combination of being aggressive, building your board, and controlling your opponent's board all at the same time can lead to some amazing advantage turns and just lead to you winning games like super easily. Honestly, it feels like all you need is a Lord Nightmon to be in play, and you have a shot against every deck that you could possibly fight against in this format. And because of that, this deck is very appealing to the majority of players if they want to perform well at big events. Now, that being said, Lord Nightmon again is not an unbeatable deck, but it is the deck to beat. Every deck that I have talked about today has one thing in their mind. Can I beat Lord Nightmon? For purple decks, it's can I get Onimon's Wharton play before they kill me? If the answer is yes, I can probably win. For Rookie Rush decks, it's can I constantly control their board and kill them before they get 2 swings with Lord Nightmon? If the answer is yes, then I probably win. For green decks, can I stick a really powerful Nidhoggmon turn against them? If so, I can win. You see where I'm going with this, right? Like, every deck has to jump through hoops to find wins against this deck, where all Lord Nightmon has to do is Lord Nightmon stuff. And then when you fight against the mirror match, well, you fight against the mirror match and there are things you can do to win there. Cool tech cards like Zwart Defeat for the Mastodon decks, or like Spiral Masquerade for the Meteor Shower decks that can do really well for you. But again, like, it's a game plan, right? Like, you have to achieve your game plan that's very specific to this matchup, and if you don't, you'll lose. I mean, I don't think we've had like a more synonymous deck to beat ever in the Digimon TCG since like Set 1.0 and Blue Omni. Like, the deck is just so crazy and it's everywhere, and I don't see it going away until BT6 rolls around and a better version of Lord Nightmon called Jessmon comes out. And boom, there you guys go. That wraps up the top 5 meta decks for the Digimon TCG Set 5 format. If you guys did enjoy, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell for notifications so you know when my videos go live for you. And if there was anything in this video that I talked about that you want me to elaborate on, or you want to ask me a specific question about this meta, be sure to follow me over on Twitch. I go live all the time and spend tons of time just chatting, and if you want to hang out with me live and in person, that is the place to go. Can't wait to see y'all in there. But that'll go ahead and do it for the video, y'all. Thank you so much again for watching. I've been your true champion, Steven. Please be sure to work hard, rest easy, and live well. And I will see you all next time. Peace!